In this Tech Talk, I'm speaking with Kody Moehr, South Central Regional Sales Manager for BluePrint Automation, and we are discussing the benefits of gantry-style case packing. Hi, Kody. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, Joanie. I'm looking forward to it.
So this is an interesting technology that I haven't had a lot of opportunities to chat about, but I do know BluePrint really well. And when we talk about case packing solutions in general, BluePrint Automation has a host of technologies in the portfolio, and that includes gantry, gravity, robotics, and other things. But today we're going to focus specifically on gantry. So let's just sort of dive right in and walk through this technology and how it works compared to, say, gravity or robotic.
Okay, sure. Yeah, from a robotics versus a gantry pick and place system perspective, there's a few key differences you really need to consider. Gantry case packers are simple and a lot less intimidating to somebody who has little or even no automation experience. So these systems operate on two planes of motion versus sometimes a robotic system will operate on 4 or 5 or even 6 axes of motion. So you see a lot of movement. With a gantry, you've got an up-down movement and you've got a forward-backward. That's it. Also with the gantry, it's fully PLC based. So you've got one PLC controlling the entire system. And then when you're looking at gravity packers, a lot of times with gravity packers, we're taking bagged product and we're using variable speed belts, collating the product, putting it onto a rotary mechanism, and then just dropping into a case that's already positioned underneath. With the gantry, we're keeping positive position over the product the entire time. So a gravity does not do that.
So are there specific types of operations that you've seen that are well suited for gantry style?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we need to look for and consider when we want to make sure that a gantry is going to be successful. Most importantly, we need to be able to organize whatever product it is that we're going to be handling in case packing. So we can get pretty crafty with our product and feed systems with sortation and orientation tools. But really at the end of the day, the product has to be willing to play ball and move where and how we want it to be moved so that we can collate it and pick it. Gantry case packers really work well with any product that we can collate and organize.
Okay. All right. So the product has a little bit of say in how this goes, whereas on a robotic system, for instance, it's really the product is at the will of the robot. But this is a little bit more collaborative, if I'm understanding you correctly.
It is, yeah. So robotic versus gantry, typically we're bringing the robot to the product versus a gantry, we're bringing the product to the gantry.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so I want to talk about some specific benefits to a gantry style case packing. And if I'm hearing you correctly, this might be pretty well suited for smaller operations. And when I'm in smaller bakeries, I hear them say a lot of times that automating is really tricky. So is this an option for smaller operations?
Yeah, when I look at smaller operators, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. Number one is operator interface. So we've built hundreds of these systems over the last 20, 30 years. And with hundreds of those systems in the field, you can imagine how much feedback we get from customers. And if there's something that's complex or not so easy to understand, we'll get feedback on that and we'll kind of change that. So over the years, we've been able to kind of bake those things out and make the operator workflow very, very easy to follow. And then number two comes back to cost. I mean, you get an absolute workhorse of a machine for the price you're paying on one of these gantries.
Okay. All right. So the other thing that I'm wondering about as far as the benefits that come with gantry is versatility. So this is something that's really important for bakery operations that require different packaging configurations. So I'm thinking like bakeries that have a ton of different SKUs that they're trying to package. How versatile is gantry style and how does that sort of help with the operation?
The gantry is very versatile. Depending on what product it is, we're going to be looking at one of our 3 main variations. So depending on what that product SKU mix looks like and what the packaging looks like, that'll kind of help drive towards one of those three variations. So a gantry 100 series would do everything flat pack. So a good example in our industry would be something like an overwrapped tray of muffins that come in flat and they go into the case flat. So everything stays flat. A 200, that's really our snack chip machine. So you've got a bag of chips that need to go into a vertical case pack pattern. And then a 300 would combine both the 100 and 200 capabilities. And this kind of comes back to your question before. The 300 is really nice for small manufacturers because it gives them a lot of versatility. So a lot of times, especially with the small manufacturers, they don't really get to dictate what that packaging style looks like for the end users. And everybody kind of has their own retail strategy. So all those case pack patterns look different. And that's where the 300 really shines because we can do flat, vertical, or a combination of both.
Okay. All right. That's so interesting. Again, talking to smaller operators or large operators that have a ton of different SKUs, a lot of them just assume, well, I can't automate in my packaging area because I have such specific needs. But gantry style seems like it alleviates that problem a little bit, that it's solving for taking some of the pressure off the operator at the end of the line and still allowing an operation to be super versatile.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, especially when you're looking at a large SKU mix, like you mentioned, operators can pretty easily change those parameters on the machine, and kind of comes back to all that feedback before. They don't have to have a BluePrint service guy with them standing right there. It's pretty easy to go through that workflow. So the gantry works hand in hand with the operators at the end of the line.
Okay, so you must be reading my mind because that's a really good segue to my next question. And that is, with so many options and different types of packaging available, how does BluePrint Automation work with customers to make sure that a gantry style case packer is the right option for them?
Yeah, one of the great things about working with BluePrint, kind of like you highlighted before, is how many tools we have and systems we have to pick from. So we'll look at a few key parameters with the customer, and those kind of steer the conversation towards robotics or gantry or gravity systems. But like I said, with BluePrint, we have so many arrows in the quiver to work with that we can definitely come together with the customer and find the right solution and build the right solution with the customer.
Okay, awesome. So I guess then my last question would be, what is the easiest way for a baker to take a first step or to learn more?
Yeah, I would say the first option would be reaching directly out to sales@blueprintautomation.com. And from there, we can get you in touch with the local contact. But another really cool tool that I use all the time myself is our YouTube channel. And you can see, I mean, there's hundreds of systems on there, and you can probably even find a product that looks identical to yours on a machine that's already running. And then third and final option would be at Pack Expo. So we're going to have a booth there. It'd be awesome to meet anybody in person, or if you have questions that you want to go through, we can walk through them there. And then we'll also have a couple of our robotic systems running there. One of them is going to be really relevant to the bakery industry with our patented high flow head. So we'll be running a cookie product that we can pick multiple products all in the same cycle, stack them inside the head, and then move over to a tray and place them all with one motion into like a clamshell or a tri-seal or something like that. So it's going to be really fun to watch it run.
I have to say the BluePrint Automation booth is one of my favorite to visit at trade shows because you do have such really in-depth and great demonstrations of your equipment in motion. So I'm excited to see that at Pack Expo.
Yeah, you and me both. It'll be fun.
Okay, Kody, those are all my questions. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to me about this cool technology of gantry case packing.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joanie.